So we're opening with a little bit of Elden Ring. Now, this is different than what we've done before. Okay.
A lot different.
A lot different. So the reason we're opening with something that is video game related is Wyatt brought up the other day that George R. Martin helped
Mr. Martin
craft the story and the creative side about the game, behind the game.
The basically like the foundation lore of the game.
Okay.
So if you guys aren't familiar with Elden Ring, it is a video game that, you know, you can purchase on the PC, on Xbox, the new Xbox, on the new PlayStation. And it falls under the family of a Souls game. There's been many Souls games. Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, Demon Souls, Sekiro, and a couple other ones. But they're very hard games, often with a lot of lore. A lot of lore.
They're dense.
But they're, for the most part, linear. They're not open world. But this is an open world game. It's got vast landscapes and continents and monsters and things that you can fight.
And you can travel throughout.
Yeah. So they had, so I feel like they had to make the lore interesting.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
definitely.
you take some of the older games and, you know, it's a very linear path. You don't have to look at any of the lore to have fun with the game. And that's fine. You don't have to look at any of the lore to have fun with this game either.
Yeah.
But then you take a game like Sekiro, which was very linear story-wise. This one has story that you kind of have to complete.
Yeah.
But it's very spread out. You don't have to go to it, but you find yourself falling into it.
Okay.
From what I've watched of the game, I've watched quite a bit of the gameplay.
Yeah.
You'll just be exploring and you'll fall into the story.
Yeah, naturally.
Because you'll kind of find it as you explore.
Which they've spent a long time. How many years?
I want to say like 10.
10 years.
12.
2012,
Yeah.
2011, they've been spending on this game. So that, and we know that also, I guess it was kind of at the front of that, like years ago, was when they got Martin involved.
Well, I think he was writing for it. Not that much longer ago. Like not.
It wasn't
ago.
before they even started crafting.
But it was, quite some years ago, like 8 years ago or something.
Yeah. Well, I don't think
at the time they were working on Sekiro, which is like a Japanese monster style Souls game.
I mean, the background or story element of games, just video games in general, has always been there's a lot of movies that have come out with video games. Right now, Paramount is doing Halo.
Yeah.
Because Halo, the game, was so interesting. So many people love Halo and there's this beloved story with Halo that it's a show now.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think what they wanted to do with this, because Halo is extremely story driven. Souls games have always had the reputation of being incredibly difficult. Just really hard to play. Bosses are hard. Leveling is hard. You die and you have to go all the way back to a save point.
You got a real struggle through it.
And so I don't think lore is necessarily, even though there's a lot of it, it's not necessarily like the main focus of the game. But I think when they were coming up with this and they thought, this is going to be open world, how do we make this interesting? And that's to get somebody who knows how to write lore. Yeah. That's George Martin. He really knows how to write lore.
May I play this quick beginning of this clip? Just to hear his thoughts.
I know that you've recently been a part of developing a video game. And it seems to me like it's sort of a natural fit for a fantasy fiction writer to work on a video game. How is that, different from what we know you for working on?
Well, it actually is considerably different. I've played some video games. I'm not a big video gamer, but the game is called the Elden Ring, and it's a sequel to a video game that came out a few years ago called Dark Souls, and it came out of Japan. My work on it was actually done years ago. These games, they're like movies. They take a long time to develop. Basically, they wanted a world created to set the game in. They wanted world building as a big factor in fantasy and science fiction. You're not only talking about the characters and the plot, but the setting is almost as important as everything else. Tolkien's Middle Earth, Robert E. Howard's Hyborian Age, the Foundation universe of Isaac Asimov. I worked up fairly detailed background for them. And then they took it from there. So, it's been several years since I've last seen them, but they would come in periodically and show me some monsters they designed or the latest special effects or the cool things. But the game has been very slowly developing, and now it's coming out in January, I believe. So I'll be as excited as anybody else to see it.
So
not January.
So that was an interview done last summer.
Mm-hmm.
So so that's interesting. So he hadn't seen them. What do you think it would be like if you were someone like him and you are have trained yourself to become a master at these detailed story crafting?
Yeah.
Just skill across the board, whether it's writing books, writing scripts, writing characters, how they fit together. What would you think it would be like to be like, we're going to make a super awesome video game. We need awesome lore to go along with it. We want to utilize you because you're very skilled. You're one of the top in the world at the moment for that kind of craft.
I think this was probably extremely easy for him.
Let me just cut in here for a moment. I just want to tell you about our Patreon really quick. You can find the link in the description, or you can search Wiseworks on Patreon. We do all kinds of stuff there. We do early access to podcasts and the Wacky Wonderful Show. We have exclusive weekly pre-show before we record any episodes every single week. We do like a 20-minute pre-show, kind of mini podcast for patrons to enjoy. And we also sometimes occasionally have some watch party stuff that recently Wyatt and Josh has made for like watching through a film, and you can hear their commentary in the background. They crack jokes, they give insight, they have all kinds of fun, and we have that on Patreon kind of exclusively at this point for patrons. You also can get your name in the credits of the podcast and all kinds of cool things. All that to say, it's a fun time over there. I mean, there's all kinds of benefits if you enjoy Wiseworks entertainment content. So go check out the Patreon. Once again, links in the description. So let's go ahead and get back to the show.
I think this was probably extremely easy for him.
You think?
Because he loves writing lore. He's written thousands and thousands of pages of lore for Game of Thrones that nobody's ever seen. That's just part of the world. I think it'd be super easy for him to just sit down and be like, all right, they want me to write a script for this video game. And, just sit down and write lore.
Yeah.
And, because people who write lore, people who like writing lore can connect it.
I know he did Game of Thrones and I love Game of Thrones, but where is Martin from?
No idea.
I think actually New Jersey. I think I watched a low-quality documentary on YouTube about his life years ago, and I think it was either like Chicago or New Jersey or somewhere, and he fell in love with writing sci-fi early on. And after that, that's when he wrote a lot of comics, and he wrote mini sci-fi novels and everything, and it wasn't obviously until he's much older that he got into writing fantasy.
I think it's super easy for him to write, and it's really up to Miyazaki and his team to take the lore. I'm sure he just had a ball just writing, oh, this is connected to this, and this is connected to this.
And this is why this is connected to this.
And then they're just like, all right, let's spread this out, spread out the story throughout the world, and fill in the gaps with some of the stuff that we know.
For sure.
Some of the side quests, some of the NPCs that you meet. What would you guys think of playing something like that?
I'm just thinking about creating it and coding it and
don't think about that. Okay. You're gonna. All right. This is what I would say. This is what I would say.
Complex.
I'm more like you. If I enjoy a creator and they enjoy playing a game, I want to watch them go on the quest. I'm like what he said. I'm not a big gamer. Played a few, not a big one. Like I've messed around with Halo 3, Halo 2, Halo Reach, Mario Kart. You know that?
classic games.
And I'm not super into gaming. However, I can enjoy pretty heavily a creator that I like, a stream where they play a game that's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
You know?
Every time I turn on the gameplay for this, there's always a new weapon. There's always a new spell. There's always a new boss. There's always a new secret. I mean, the guys I was watching, they went down to the bottom of the map and they were like, "Oh, look, there's a raggedy old tower, just a squat kind of tower." And they're like, "Oh, there's these guard NPCs. This is pretty typical, pretty standard." And they climb to the top of the tower as per usual. And they're like, "Oh, look, a chest." This is normal. And I haven't seen any mimic chests, which are the chests that'll open up. They have teeth in them. They'll eat you. But this random tower with this random chest
at the bottom of the map,
guarded by these low-level NPCs. They open it up. A cloud comes out and sucks you in and takes you to like the very top of the map. And there's this massive boss that you fight, and you get like an incredible talisman if you beat him.
Oh, sick.
But
so it's a teleporter.
Yeah, and there's a lot of that stuff. You find this thing in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere, that'll take you hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of feet down into the earth. And there's this whole other like mini map area for you to explore and play on.
Sick.
What do you think the odds, or what do you think the more people called out after the Super Bowl or after this game came out the next day from work?
I think
I would say it's actually pretty high.
This and the Super Bowl are pretty tied.
So you're saying people call out. So the release of this, or Monday after the Super Bowl, where people were getting drunk, they were enjoying partying the Super Bowl.
I'm not coming to work today.
I think because the Elden Ring's enjoyed across nations. The Super Bowl is an American sport.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
No, you don't think a bunch of dudes our age, like the majority of dudes our age, that maybe if they're single or whatever, you don't think they called off work for a solid 3 days?
I'm going to be honest. If I had like an Xbox or a PS5,
you'd be calling out
and
work.
This game came out, and somebody's like, "This is a 60-hour game."
Now that I think about it, one of the guys who's really incredibly into gaming has called out the past 2 days from work. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
I never even thought that.
You don't think you know what he's doing?
That's because
genuinely
you mean at your work, so people
work.
know what you're talking about.
This is like a 60-hour game. Air quotation marks on that. You can
relatively skilled player 60 hours.
No, even good skilled players, you may spend 3 hours on a boss.
Oh dang.
On not even a main quest boss. There's 6 main quest bosses. There are 80 some.
Can you define boss for me?
Not main quest bosses.
Can you define boss for me?
So a boss would generally be a NPC that is usually larger than you are and has a large health bar at the bottom.
Gotcha.
There are like 80 bosses that are not main quest bosses.
Okay.
And like 25 of them are completely unique.
Okay. I think I might actually get into watching a few gameplays. I need to do some research because, in my opinion, the gameplay has to pair perfectly with the creator.
Yeah.
You know? But based on this, I'm actually really interested to see what this Elden Ring is like. I know I watched a few PewDiePie things because I enjoyed horror for a while.
Yeah.
Horror video games, and PewDiePie's like the king of gameplay horror. You know, he's one that started it, made it popular, became super famous for it.
I'm telling you, give it a month and the full Elden Ring lore will be on the internet.
Okay.
There will be people who are just doing lore runs. There will be people who are just doing completely naked and have a club in their hand runs and taking literally 5 hours to beat the bosses just dodging, perfect parries, no hit runs.
People are crazy what they spend their time
insane.
on.
There will be people whose only gameplay is running around looking for hidden walls.
Hidden walls.
Yeah. Yeah.
I gotta be honest, man. Gaming is one of the most hilarious and perfect mediums in today's world, because gaming is like not only for creatives who are a part of the design of games, but then to say like you could also be a professional gamer. A lot of people won't. A lot of people won't be a professional gamer. However, if you are bringing something good to the table and you have a strong work ethic and you really enjoy being on camera and playing games at the same time, you can become a millionaire.
I mean, I would love simply writing storylines and lore for games.
Well, you're a writer.
I think it's incredible.
Look,
I've played too many video games where I'm like, this story, man. I end the video game and I'm like,
it's like in the video game, it's like, I want to create a story that couldn't work for film.
Yeah.
Or couldn't work on pages.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But that's Elden Ring.
Yeah. And so I think I'm going to watch some gameplay, get a little feel for it.
Ooh.
Yeah, heck yeah, dude.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I haven't seen, is that a boss?
I just got boss defined for me, so I couldn't tell you.
Oh, okay. Is that the only picture you have? You have any
That's
more?
it. I thought that was super cool. If I'm being honest, like Google Images has a variety, but they're all like the what do you call the version? So it's like you see their full body. It's not first person.
Oh,
What do you
yeah.
call it? What is it?
Like
It's not third person, is it? Either?
No.
I don't know what it's called.
I don't know.
Whatever style video game is set up
Mm-hmm.
for the Elden Ring, there's a lot of those kind of images.
Third person where you can see the person?
Yeah, you see the full body from behind.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the third person. Okay, there's a lot of third person images on Google Images, but there's not great artwork like a ton of it like this is. So,
dude, the some of the things you see in this game are crazy.
They be crazy.
The story,
I know.
The story is really cool, and I think the game designer Miyazaki, he really is a genius,
artistic genius.
There's a dude riding a horse who is cursed, and he's been riding the horse for so long and eating like the dead bodies of soldiers for so eternity that his feet he's grown so big, this weary horse is carrying him, and it's so small compared to him, and his feet have been dragging in the sand so long they're gone.
Like they're just missing.
They're just gone, yeah. And so he's riding around this tiny little horse, this big, huge, bulky warrior. Crazy stuff.
Just wacky ideas.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to live in the world with the Elden Ring.
Me neither.
But it's super cool to let your mind wander into virtually for a while. So I'm going to definitely hit up some gameplay, especially since one of my favorite story crafters are behind the lore for this game.
Hey, this is a clip from the WiseWorks podcast, and if you enjoyed it, go and check out the entire podcast. We do podcasts every week, both the Midnight Special and the main podcast. You can check us out on YouTube and Spotify. Be sure to subscribe and like, and we'll see you next time.